Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, November the 11th, 2025. Interesting things that happened, okay? Geo is the one, he and Emma, that found Ned, and now, Geo just called him grandfather. Oh, that's grandfather now, right? And he's down on the ground next to Ned, and he looks up Emma, and Emma's gone, Splitsville, right? So Gio says, okay, he had to remember his lifeguard training. Okay, CP, he was gonna start the CPR. He checked for a pulse, see if Ned was breathing. He wasn't breathing, so he's getting ready to do some compressions, and all of a sudden you hear this, out of my way. It was Britt. She drops her purse, runs, and she immediately starts CPR. Emma was on the phone the whole time. So what happened was Emma dashed up to Britt's room, got Britt, because Britt was not down in the restaurant when they walked out, right? So, but Emma is calling 911 and the whole nine yards. So Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte are at GH. And, they were waiting for Britt to start work. The plan was Rocco was going to distract her while Charlotte was going to lift the fob. And if all else failed, Danny was going to bump into Britt to divert her attention while Charlotte got the fob, right? So, needless to say, Britt, the ambulance comes. It shows them bringing Ned into GH, on a gurney. And Britt's behind them. He's not responsive. She's doing her doctor talk to the ambulance. And once they get there, Lucas says, okay, we got to put him in room number whatever. And Elizabeth springs into action. She's here's this Ned Quartermain, but she sprung into action because Elizabeth is the nurse on duty there and head nurse at that. So Charlotte so Charlotte and Charlotte, Rocco, and Danny are looking like, wait, what just happened? Right? So Britt is going right behind Lucas and the ambulance gurney people taking Ned into the room. And Lucas turns around and says, I'm sorry, only medical professionals can be allowed in. And so Britt said, but I'm the one who saved his. And Elizabeth comes and says, I'm sorry, Britt, but you're not a licensed doctor. You have to wait outside. So she stands there, and Gio and Emma are there at this point. And he's like, how's my grandfather? She goes, well, that he's in better shape now than when he was brought in here. It's still serious, but they're working on it. And so Gio's standing there. He goes, there's something I got to do. He calls Olivia. Now, Lulu had come over to give Tracy a housewarming gift, but found out Tracy was gone, and she and Olivia were talking, and she's worried about Rocco. And Olivia says, you know what, I have to tell you this. I heard Rocco and Danny talking about Britt. So Lulu said, what did they say? She says, well, I don't know, because as soon as they saw me, they clammed up. Well, then, did you hear anything, Olivia? Did you hear? No, you didn't hear anything. A better statement was when I walked in the room, Rocco and Danny were talking about Britt, but they cut that conversation short when they saw me. That would have been better. But anyway, telling Lulu you've done right, and are you sure you don't have it in your heart to forgive her? And Lulu's like, no. And Olivia's like, oh, well, look, I couldn't either. Olivia. Um, but she's saying that, that Rocco is just gravitating towards Britt, and I just don't know what to do. And Olivia said he is going to find out all on his own what kind of person Britt Westbourne is. He will. So, needless to say, Gio calls her and she gets the call, and he goes, Olivia, it's Ned. And they don't show any more of that conversation. But of course, Olivia arrives at GH with Lulu, and Britt was standing there with Gio and Emma. Britt had already sent away Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte. She says, I can't find my purse. She actually went to the ambulance and it wasn't there. And at this point, Gio had stepped away to call Olivia, and Emma was with Gio. And so Britt tells the teens, listen, can you find my purse? See if I dropped it at Bobby's. And they said, sure, right away, which is that's up their alley, right? And I thought, I know what's gonna happen. And I'm dreading it. But anyway, um, Char Emma and Gio come back to where Britt is, and they says, where's Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte? And she says, I sent them on a mindless task just to get their minds off of what's happening here. Now, they didn't ask what task because they're worried about that. And now Olivia and Lulu popped up. And as soon as Britt saw Lulu, she turned and stepped closer to the nurse's station. And Olivia's like, what happened? He goes, um, they think he's had a heart attack. Oh, Olivia. And she goes, thank God. He goes, we found him. He was collapsed on the floor. She goes, thank God, you know, you were able to save him until the paramedics got there. And he goes, actually, no, that was not us. Britt Westbourne saved Ned until, kept him alive until the paramedics got there. And Olivia looks at her. Yeah, yeah. The one you were bashing not even an hour ago. Her. That horrible person saved your husband, Ned. Okay? So anyway, Lucas comes out and says Ned needs bypass surgery. So, Ned's going to be in surgery. And look, out of commission. Nobody still knows what he knows about the Quartermain heirlooms at all. Because, of course, he can't talk. But in the grand scheme of things, if Tracy were there, it would mean more to Tracy than, well, it meant a lot to Ned, but Tracy would have still caring about her son, worried about her son, but she still have been looking for her. Alan's documents in the there's too much stuff there, too much history to just go missing. So anyway, we'll see how the Ned situation unfolds. Now, guess who's the new chief? I mean, commissioner, police commissioner. Laura appoints Dante. Can anybody see that working? That is playing right into Sidwell's hands. Dante will not be able to make commit. Well, look, I guess he can't do worse than Anna, right? But unlikely. So he reinstates Nathan, and not just out of favoritism. Anna had already put the paperwork in process. Nathan had already had his psych eval, and he passed it with flying colors. Of course he did, because, being mind controlled. I mean, nobody is really concerned about what you've been up to for 7 years. Where you been? You were driving away from something, and has that something caught up to you yet? I mean, no, but you know what? He's a good cop. I need you. Right now, we got a lot of things going on. I need all hands on deck. So Nathan asked him, isn't it going to be tough for you? I mean, with Sonny being your father, and now you're the commissioner? And Dante says, yep, it is something, right? He says, and with what my brother Michael's going through, his ex-wife is the one, you know, in jail, in prison for shooting Drew. Not to mention my brother still could actually be a suspect. He goes, yeah, there's a lot of things going on. That's why we need you. So he tells him, he goes, I'm assigning you a partner. He's a good guy, but he's got some blinders on. And Nathan says, what are you talking about? Well, you see, Michael wasn't the only one married to Willow Tate. Chase was married to her first. So Chase has blinders on where Willow is concerned. He feels there's no way she did it. And Nathan said, okay. Well, do you feel that he's got I mean, that he could be impartial, you know? And Dante says, no, he's already been up to Pentonville visiting Willow 3 times. And Nathan looked at Dante and said, hmm, well, that's compromising. He says, I know. He says, I've talked to Chase about this before, but he's still doing what he's doing. And he goes, that's why I want you to keep him out of trouble, keep an eye on him, right? And so Nathan says, okay, I'll do my best. Now, BLQ jams him up. And you know what, everybody? I'm mad at Brooklyn. Just because of that one conversation, Michael sounded so cold. Do I think he shot Drew? Because Chase says, I know Willow did not do it. She goes, Chase, you don't want her to have done it. He goes, Willow could not do it. She goes, oh, but Michael could. He says, come on, Brooklyn. What do you think? Tell me. Do you think Michael could have shot Drew? And that chick says, yeah, he could have. He's angry enough. But the PCPD has a case and more evidence showing it's Willow, not Michael. That's because he's framed her. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And I'm going to prove it. I said, yeah, you're going to definitely mess with evidence. You're going to just, you could see something slapping you in the face. You could see Willow on camera driving to Drew's house. Because let's face it, when she walked out the hospital, yes, she was soaking wet, but Drew's house is not in walking distance from the hospital. Okay. She drove there. Uh, you could see her on traffic cam headed right in that direction. And you know what you'll do? You'll delete it. And in your mind, you'll say, oh, because this looks bad for Willow. She had another reason for heading in the direction of Drew's house. That's what Chase would do. So Brooklyn says, but here's the thing. Willow could have done it. I don't have that conviction you have that she did not and could not do it, Chase. She goes, but I don't want you to. She goes, how does, he goes, I'm investigating and I'm investigating on my own outside of the PCPD as a citizen. She says, oh, okay. So you are actually trying to get evidence to go against what the police department has. How does Anna feel about that? Anna knows I feel Willow is innocent. She goes, no, Chase, no, no. How does Anna feel about you doing an investigation off the clock as a citizen? Well, she doesn't know about that. She goes, oh, because you know you could get in trouble. She goes, Chase, you know how you felt when you lost your badge the last time. And why did I lose my badge? She goes, oh, of course, for hitting Valentine because he was talking disrespectful to me. But I think that was the second thing he did against Valentine, which is why he got it suspended, right? So he says, and I was protecting you just like I am protecting Willow. She said, but Chase, you're going to protect her at the risk of losing your career. How would you handle that? Can't you just let the police department do their job? You are the police department. He says, no, I feel differently than the evidence they have. And so he says, and I could not sleep or live with myself if I didn't do everything I could. I could not let an innocent woman who is being framed and railroaded by Michael, oh, or he may have said by her ex. No, I'm gonna prove her innocence. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So Brooklyn has the nerve to say, and that's why I love you so much. You're a good man, Chase. You're honest. And you always want to do what's right. Is he doing what's right, Brooklyn? Because I could tell you, you're doing what's wrong. Yeah, Michael could have done it. Before the fire, I would have said no. But he's different after the fire. He had third degree burns over the majority of his body, even though you can't tell. But anyway, soap opera. And when he found out he's going through all of this treatment and pain and everything else, now your wife is shacking up with your uncle and took your kids with her? Mm-mm. Oh, yeah, that will change you. That will change you, especially when you still loved her and was hoping that you could talk to kind of reconcile. Mm. So anyway, Brooklyn hugs Chase, and I thought, oh, girl, you just don't know. Willow's gonna sleep with your man because he's still in love with her. But you know what? That's gonna be what Brooklyn gets, right? Now we have, let me see. Okay, this is minor. Elizabeth's talking to Lucas, and he tells her he's moving in with Marco. She was happy. She goes, what? Because the house in my neighborhood's still free. He goes, no, we already have a place. She goes, where? So fast? He goes, we're moving into Windermere. I'm moving into Windermere. She goes, wait, what? You know that's not a good place. And you know the kind of person Marco's father is. See, talk about a hypocrite, Lucas. Elizabeth reminded him of it. And you're going to be living with him? It's a big place. It's huge. And the wing that Marco and I are going to be sharing, just us. The views are blah, blah, blah. She goes, no, the views have always been gorgeous on Island. But I'm just saying. He goes, nope. You know, the amount of time I work and Mark, we'll rarely see Sinwell at all. She goes, well, I hope you know what you're doing. She says, are you moving in there secretly trying to look for a reason to sabotage your relationship with Marco? And he just looked at her. And he's like, what do you mean? She said, because you know who his father is and the kind of man his father is. And you know that you're going to look for a reason that, no, I can't live with you. And he just looked at her. He goes, well, no, what I don't want, he goes, to me, this is a more non-committal because if he and I leased a place together, that's signing a lease for like a year, and at least if things don't, work out, I could just leave. And she just says, well, you know what? You know what you're doing. You do you, right? You do you. Now let's show my picture. We got Britt doing CPR down there at the bottom right picture. Now get this. Michael and Jacinda are having their date, right? And they're talking, and she says, how was your day? She goes, Nina kept me busy with busy work up until the time she walked out the door because she was a little late. She goes, sorry, I'm late. He goes, oh, it's fine. And she goes, how was your day? He goes, tell me about your day. He said, no. And she looked at him and said, no. He says, I want to know about you. I'm not here on this day to talk about me. And he goes, Jacinda, tell me something about yourself. She goes, well, this is a switch. I'm used to, all men want to talk about themselves. That makes them happy. She goes, force a habit. He goes, oh, I caught what you were doing. He said, but no, tell me an interesting fact about you that no one else knows. So she talked about camping, but I guess there's something called glamping where you're, doing it upstyle glamorous. So you really aren't roughing it. Look, and I'm not a roughing it kind of person. So anyway, he was talking a little bit about, his stepfather would take him camping, meaning Jax, and it rugged. He goes, ugh, I learned early. That ain't me. He goes, until I discovered glamping, and that's the only way I'm going to do something. So they're talking, and so she looks over, she goes, isn't that your son with Nina? So he looks over and he's like, yeah, it is. She goes, oh, we could do this another time. I'm going to go ahead and go. And he goes, no, no, you stay. And she looked at him, and Nina, when she walked in and Michael saw, is looking at her and Wiley, and she's like, mm. And Wiley sees him, Daddy! And he runs over to the table and he goes, hey, buddy, Grandma Nita said we were coming for some sundaes, ice cream sundaes. And he goes, oh. So she goes, oh, Wiley, come on, we don't want to be over here. Come on, let's go over here to get the sundaes. So Michael looked, he goes, no, Wiley's not going to go anywhere. Wiley is just fine here. And he's looking at Nina, and she goes, it's not, Michael. Do you think it's a, and Michael's cutting her off, Wiley, buddy, I want you to meet my daddy's friend, Jacinta. And Nina goes, uh, Michael. And she goes, come on, Wiley, let's get, he goes, no, no, you know what? And Jacinta says, nice to meet you, Michael. It's kind of like they're talking, like Nina's not saying anything. And so she goes, Sundays? Well, I like Sundays too. He goes, buddy, I want you and Jacinta to talk. Me and Grandma Nina, we're going to go talk over there. Or she may have said, Michael, can we go talk over there? I think that was Nina. And he goes, you talk to Jacinda and me and Grandma Nina gonna be right there over there talking. So she goes over there. She goes, it is not wise to have my grandson around a call girl or an escort, whatever she called her. And Michael just looked at her and he goes, but that was your plan. And she's looking at him. What do you mean? How would I know that he goes, Nina, this was your plan all along. Yeah, but you having him, talking to her, he goes, he's fine. So she goes, I am going to take my grandson away from Jacinda. And he goes, you're not taking my son anywhere. And she looked at him. She goes, how do you think I'm going to let a judge know? The judge know, you know, in family court. I'm going to let them know that you are putting Wiley in the presence of an escort. And so before they walked out there, Michael, when he introduced her, he goes, Daddy's friend, but she also works as Grandma Nina's assistant. Isn't that right, Nina? And Nina just looked. See, you remember what I said yesterday? Oh, no, no, no. She's got a new profession because she wants something better for her life. Nobody's going to fault her. So anyway, Nina says, he goes, do your best, Nina. Do whatever you feel you have to do. But let me tell you something. I'm going to have you removed from the Metro Court. And she says, you can't. He goes, oh, whoa, whoa. Did you forget who's half owner of this hotel? My mother. One word from me, and she'll have you removed. He says, and let me remind you of something, Nina. You're going to be locked out of your office. And she looked at him. You can, he goes, yeah, yeah, I can. I will have Jacinda working in your office by herself, and you could work remotely. And he goes, and wait a minute. As your employer, and then he looked at her. Because remember, she works for Michael. Crimson is a subsidiary of Aurora, right? He goes, oh, but you know what? We'll talk about that another time. Meaning, when I fire you. He says, so you make all the calls you feel you need to make, Nina. And he goes, but I could tell you this. By the time the actual custody hearing rolls around, it won't even matter. I think he may have said, because, Willow will be convicted, whatever he said, right? And Nina's just like, oh. You know how Nina, the look she gets in her face when she is slapped in her face and her plan backfires? You know how Nina looks. So Michael walks away and she's kind of walking behind him, almost like Michael, but wait, oh, you know what? Wait, hold on. But he don't even, boom, he's sitting back at the table. And Jacinda and Wiley are still talking about Sundays. And he goes, buddy, listen, Grandma Nina wants to take a picture of all of us. And Nina just looks at him. So he goes, and that's that top left picture. He goes by Jacinda and he pulls Wiley. Come here, buddy. Wiley's standing up, and they're cheesing for the camera like a happy family. He goes, smile for Grandma Nina. And she just takes the picture, and Michael's just looking at her. Oh, I'm telling you, oh, he does such a good job of cunning, just the cunningness of him, right? He spoiled her plan, spoiled it, foiled it, fouled it up, turned it to his benefit. Because guess what this makes it look like? His relationship with Descenda. Doesn't it make it look real? If there was a witness at the Metro Court seeing them talking, she's got a legitimate job now, right? So anyway, he's still talking, him and Wiley and Jacinda, they're laughing and everything else. And guess who comes walking from the side by that fireplace in red? Can't see her that well because the picture's small. Willow. Remember Alexis said she felt she could get Willow released? Willow comes walking in and she sees Michael with her son with that escort. And she's just looking. It's going to be good tomorrow because she's going to walk right up to that table. And Wiley's going to say, and Michael's going to look, he's going to be a little surprised because he didn't know she was getting out. And he's going to probably tell Jacinda, hey, Jacinda, can you take Wiley? We'll see what he does, right? And which will piss Willow off even more. Willow will be making a scene. And Michael will say, oh, no, 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 no. The visitations are only in front of a licensed therapist once a week. So I'll have to set up another appointment, Willow. But you see, Willow got out, obviously went to Elizabeth's, got dressed, and headed there. Now, I don't know if Nina, because how would she know to head there? I'm kind of thinking she texts Nina. No, she wouldn't. Nope, because she ain't even speaking to Nina. So Nina probably just texted her that picture and said they're at the Metro Court, dining terrace, which I haven't seen this set in a minute. I thought she was talking about that little area rooftop outside the main dining room, but no, I always liked this little place. But anyway, um, and she probably got dressed and headed right over there. Not to Drew, right? Does Drew even know she's out? He said Willow will be released soon, but maybe Drew's gonna meet her there. But Drew being Drew, Drew would want her to come straight to his house so he could try to get her in the bed to tie her, lock her down. But it's going to be good. Wednesday's episode, I think, is unfortunately the kids are gonna get in big trouble. But I don't even want to know how this is gonna go. I don't. We shall see. We shall see, everybody. All right, that's it. That is it for GH today. Let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. I'm going to go today from the top down, and I'm starting my trusty dusty timer, and we're going to go for 5 minutes on comment corner. Richard says, another great review, daily recap lady. Donna was amazing. Wasn't she cute? Oh, I just love that little actress. Magdalena says, hello, recap lady. Today's episode was, I see disaster coming in reference to Nina. There goes Portia. Well, that's all for now. And I'll keep tuning in. Many blessings, Maggie. Thank you so much, Maggie. Eric says, how about coffee pot Pascal? That's funny. Or bow tie Pascal. You know what? I was looking up, I had Chat GPT give me some suggestions on P names. How do you all feel about Pompous Pascal? Let me know. Pompous Pascal. Because he is a pompous jerk, right? Let me know. Leo says, you're right. Why is Drew walking around like he was shot in the stomach at the beginning of the show? He was holding his stomach. That man was the head of the operation and Britt's dad. Head of the operation. Britt, that was Faison, was Britt's dad. Monique says, plus conflict of interest considering the fact that Chase was involved with Willow. Yes, it is. We see all kinds of wrong, all kinds of wrong. And it's going to backfire on him, and it needs to. Oki says there was an Aussie actress who was, wait, who has the same name as the matriarch, Jane Elliott. Oh, that actress has cancer. So I guess the reports of some illness in Jane Elliott, which I didn't throw that out in the air, what I had heard. Good, see, because the internet gets stuff wrong. DB says, I like Jacinda times Michael. There is, this is her pretty woman moment. I'm voting for Pico Pascal. Pico. Oh, Pico. I don't know. Pico what? Peeking around every corner. Pico Pascal. You know what? I think I could like Pico Pascal. Let's vote on that. Is it Pompous Pascal or Pico Pascal? Because he gonna be listening, ear glued to the door, peeking around every corner. Nosy. Lorenzo says Michael was also so with her sister Kiki. Whose sister Kiki? I forget. I know there was a sister. Kiki was, yeah, somebody tell me whose sister was that. Um, let's see. Net Nataku says Diego Alcazar was who killed Emily. He was the text message killer. He also killed Georgie. Oh man. Thank you so much for that. See, that's what Comic Corner is all about. I just never would have remembered Diego Alcazar. Uh, Bowberry Sherry says the strange man went on several ABC shows making cameo appearances promoting an upcoming game show. Oh, is that what it is? I'm wondering why the camera's showing him. And Felicia never got back to it. TG says, Welp, there goes Danny getting involved. Disaster ahead. Yes, he sure did. He says, I'm in. Because they were saying, Danny, are you sure you can't get another infraction? Because Drew's going to use it against you. He goes, Drew is going to use anything against me anyway. Which wasn't the right thing, though. Come on now. Dante is the acting commissioner. Well, they really need a budget or more actors. Uh, Using this to get Nathan back on the force is weird. I know. Also, doesn't it seem odd how little Nathan is expressing concern about Maxie? That's why I'm telling you that they haven't even said that Nathan is gone to visit Maxie, and Maxie was his world. Absolutely, they haven't, but they did mention the reason why Mac isn't the commissioner is he is back and forth visiting Maxie continuously. When you would think that'd be Felicia, but okay, right? But yeah, no, Nathan hasn't even gone to sit by her bedside because I'm telling you, there's some kind of brain integrating going on. And look, wouldn't a criminal want to be knee deep in the PCPD? He's gonna know everything they got going on regarding Sidwell and every operation and control it, right?
Yeah.
Um, it says it is a wonder Brit revived Ned with those terrible chest compressions. The camera would do better not showing the actual act because they can't do it correctly on people who aren't in cardiac arrest, which is true, which is why they know use your imagination. Come on now. Let's see. Cece says, I pray Ned isn't leaving the show. If he lives, Tracy will have to come back from her spa vacay. Well, let's face it, Ned is never on the show for long, ever, because he works on Days of Our Lives. He's got a prominent character there. Ned is famous for on the phone. Remember Alexis? I mean, not Alexis. Ava, Tracy sent him out the room. Call the lawyers. When the will was read, right? He went out and never came back in. Wow. Okay. Um, or was it some instance before the will was read when he goes, "I'm on it, mother." He went out the room and never came back. Tina says, if Liz had done her job and reported one of her nurses hitting a coworker, a superior, then Willow's record wouldn't be so squeaky clean. Yep, that is true. And Deborah says, I was so upset with Drew. I wanted to kick Drew's butt. Chase is and getting too involved. Brooklyn is going to call Chase and divorce him. Well, no, she said, that's why I love you so much, Chase. Anyway, everybody, that is all the comments from Comment Corner. Thank you so much. You all did a great job. I was reading all the comments. So everybody, please, 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 do your comments and comment on other people's comments. I will be back tomorrow with another daily recap of General Hospital.